Well, good day there. This is Joe Van Cleve, and welcome to episode 17 of the Typewriter video series. Today's subject is going to be ribbons. Should you flip or switch? Stay tuned. There are many aspects to being a typewriter owner and user, but one of the most essential aspects is the ribbon. The ribbon is like ribbons are to typewriters as light is to cameras. You know, a camera can have film or a digital sensor, but without the light, you don't have an image. Just have black, nothing. Ribbons are the same way. You can have a typewriter and you can have paper, but without the ribbon, you don't make a mark. So ribbons are like the petrol, the gasoline to cars. That's what gets you going. So ribbons are pretty essential to typewriters. And it would seem, therefore, that ribbon maintenance is essential to the typewriter experience. When we consider ribbons, besides the whole issue of the kinds of spools that they come on, you have to consider, first of all, the fabric. The three general kinds of fabric available are cotton, nylon, and silk. I don't think silk is very common at all. It used to be. Nylon is the most common fabric. Cotton is also available but harder to find. But the main thing about ribbons is the color. You basically have monochromatic ribbons and bicolor, two-color ribbons. So those are the most common categories. In your monochromatic, of course, black is the most common color, but there are specialty ribbon companies that'll make blue, purple, and green, and those kinds of colors. And in the bicolor ribbons, obviously black and red is your most common variety there. Virtually all typewriters have a ribbon color selector switch. And this particular typewriter in Underwood Universal has what looks like a blue setting on the bottom, a white one in the middle, and a red one on top in terms of the switch. The white setting on your typewriters is always going to be the setting where it does not use the ribbon. This is for cutting mimeograph stencils. We're going to ignore that for now. But this is set for a two-color ribbon. You have the blue setting, which is really for black ribbons, and the red setting. The way this works is the dark setting, or the blue or black setting, is for the top edge of the ribbon. The red setting is for the bottom edge of the ribbon. Let's look and see how that works. Now, with the ribbon color selector set to the black position, as you type a character, the ribbon moves such that the top of the ribbon is being struck by the type slugs. And you'll notice also that the ribbon does not move very far. Okay? Now, if you set the ribbon color selector to the red position, then you'll notice the ribbon has to move much higher for the type slug to make an imprint. And it's using the bottom of the ribbon instead of the top. Now, the important thing to remember when you're considering whether you should have the ribbon set to type on the top edge or the bottom edge is that the action of the ribbon vibrator is part of the typing cycle of the mechanism. In other words, the cycle is you press the key, it raises the type bar, it moves the type bar, it raises the ribbon vibrator, it advances the ribbon, it lowers the ribbon vibrator, it moves the carriage via the escapement, and it returns the type bar to its rest position. All of that is the cycle of typing. And when the ribbon vibrator has to move a further distance up, it's going to slow down the speed that you can type in that cycle because it takes longer for the ribbon to recycle up and down a further distance than it would a shorter distance. What this means is that when the ribbon selector is set to the black position or the top edge of the ribbon, the typing action will be snappier and smoother. Conversely, when you have the ribbon selector color set to the bottom edge or the red position on the selector, the typing action is going to be slightly slower and more sluggish because the vibrator has to move further. Now, this difference in typing action between using the red and the black selector on the color selector lever, you may not ever actually notice this in practice. It depends entirely on the design of your machine, the condition of your machine, and how you type, and the speed at which you type. Many machines, most machines being, decades old, you're going to have potentially problems with the escapement mechanisms, the carriage movement mechanism, the movement up and down of the ribbon vibrator. Basically, anything in that whole typing cycle that's affected mechanically. If it's marginal, if the condition of your typewriter is marginal, you could find that if you switch the color selector to use the bottom edge of the ribbon, that if you type really fast, for instance, if you're a good touch typist, you might find that the machine just can't keep up with your speed as well. So what does this mean in terms of your typewriter and the ribbons that you use? Well, if you're using a two-color ribbon, for instance, a black-red ribbon, and if your primary typing color is black, you should install the ribbon so the black side is on the top, and you should set the ribbon selector switch to the black color. This will give you the fastest and speediest action of your machine for the kinds of typing you normally do. Now, when you set the color switch to red, you probably aren't going to be typing red as much, and so you can afford to have a slightly more sluggish typing action for that case because you're not going to be doing it as often. On the other hand, for those of us who like to use monochromatic ribbons, we find that one of the advantages of monochromatic ribbons is you can get double the use out of a ribbon. And what this means is you set the ribbon onto the black setting or the top edge of the ribbon, and you reuse that ribbon over and over again until it begins to fade or wear out. Then what you want to do is you want to start using the other edge of the ribbon. Well, you could simply flip the switch to the red position, and that would start you using the bottom edge. But remember, if you do that, the typing action might be more sluggish. So what I recommend you do is open up the ribbon panel, the ribbon cover off your machine, and take out the ribbon and flip it over that way, upside down, boom, and put it back in. This will put the other edge, the unused edge of the ribbon on top. Then you simply keep the ribbon color selector in the black position, and now you have an entirely other edge of the ribbon to use. And so you get double the use out of the ribbon. Now, there are a few typewriters that have a third position. I know the Hermes 3000s have a middle position. I think it's yellow on the color selector lever. In the case of the Hermes 3000s and typewriters like that, you obviously are going to be using the middle of the ribbon instead of the top or bottom edge. In that case, you don't have any choice. You can't flip it around. You're just going to have to use it, but it's not going to be quite as sluggish as using the bottom edge of the ribbon, simply because, well, first of all, the Hermes 3000s are great mechanically made design typewriters, but also you're not moving it too far more up. You're only moving it up to the middle instead of all the way to the bottom. So that's my advice this week is ribbons. Should you flip or switch? And my recommendation is you should flip the ribbon upside down instead of switching the color selector if you want to switch the edge of the ribbon permanently to the other side. Well, hey, this is Joe Van Cleve. I hope this has been an enjoyable and an informational video for you. Please leave comments as always, and until next time, you have yourself a good day.